I did too.
November 22nd on the Board of Education regular meetings. Roll call, please.
Mrs. A. Ayala,
Present.
Mrs. S. Ayala, here. Mrs. Hines. Mr. Coleman.
Here.
Mrs. Leo.
Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. So first up, we have celebration.
Good evening. We'll start with Mr. McNerney from Tiger Trades introducing his 4-H students.
I asked Juanita Grayson, who is the 4-H coordinator for the Otero and Southtown. So she will talk about 4-H a little bit and then kind of introduce the kids, and I won't be able to butcher their names. Because they're not all my kids. We're celebrating all the 4-H kids from all of our schools. So,
All
all of 100 schools.
Okay.
So, our 4-H program is the only 4-H program in the state of Colorado that is sponsored by school. But the high school, junior high, they have a lot of kids. The primary has some little kids, whatever, Clover Buds, I think it's called, and the intermediate has some 4-H kids. So we wanted to recognize them all tonight, and that's why I asked Maria to come tonight.
Yeah, so we have our TTA club, which is the first school-sponsored club in Colorado. That's something that's really common in other states, especially in the southern part of the country, but not so much we're in the western region. But then we also have our community clubs. And so we have Jenny Valerio. She's a member of our TTA club, but our other 4-H members who are here this evening are members of community clubs. So we actually have members from Crowley County and Otero County who go to school here in La Junta, and from, I think, almost all of our clubs across both counties. So I will introduce those who are here. And I guess as I say your names, if you are comfortable, because public speaking is a very big part of 4-H. If you're comfortable, if you would like to say what your project is and maybe something that you're really proud of from fair or state fair, we will just go down the list. So I want to be able to make sure I know I missed a couple that are coming in, so I'm going to come stand over here if that's okay. So first on my list, who I know is here, is Tanis Aragon.
Ceramics and chickens and my ceramic project up to state fair got reserved at chickens.
I also have Anakin Ayala.
I am not. Over there is my cat poster, and I do cats and chickens.
We have Everly Ballou. She's a clover bud. We have Leslie Ballou. Also a clover bud. And we have Audrey Ballou. We have Lacey Buck.
I did horses and I won 7.
We have Gage Entman. He's a Clover bud.
I made a kit that was made out of Legos bugs. Stickers.
Let's see, we have Braxton Griffin. He actually brought something pretty cool to show us. Braxton Griffin is a Clover bud. Okay, we will introduce the Donnells. Yeah. So we have Owen Donnell, who's a Clover bud. What did you show this year? What did you bring to fair?
Woodworking, a coat rack.
It was pretty cool too. And Ryder Donnell, what did you do this year?
I did market skills.
Hey, thank you. Then we have Ayla Samora.
I did marketing turkey. This year, all of my turkeys actually died, so I didn't have anything to do. Oh, other year, I won 5th place.
It was a bit of an unfortunate year for turkeys. We started out with a lot of turkeys and ended up with not very many at fair. Joseph Samora.
I did 2 projects this year. I did market ducks. I won grand champion for market duck. Then I also did sport fishing and I won first. Then 6 state fair.
And Asher Samora.
I do first stairs.
And Asher is a Clover bud, and the last 2 years he has done his board on Rosie, his board. So I really hope we get to see Rosie at fair next year.
Yeah.
And Anthony Smith.
So I brought that big tree, that bird up and I popped it out. Oh,
Jenny Valeria.
I do horseless sports and I also did the public speaking contest at the Forest State Conference.
Yeah. Is there anybody that I missed?
Noise.
Oh, no, sorry. Peyton. What did you do this year?
I did market rabbits and breeding rabbits and cooking.
And how did you do with your market rabbits and your cooking?
I got grand champion with my market rabbits and I got reserve champion and grand champion.
And Cole is a Clover bud, and what did you bring to bear?
There's a thinking wildlife board and stuff in the family. That's cool.
Okay, I think that's everybody that's here. There is a full list of everybody and all their awards. We've got about 40 members, 4-H members across all the schools. And they did some amazing things. We had even some kids that placed at the state shoot by Braxton Intamin, which is pretty amazing. We have a state shoot for shooting sports that is actually larger than the national shoot. So any of our kids that are placing at those state competitions are really doing an amazing job. So.
Thank you guys for your support. Really appreciate it.
And these projects are awesome, so please.
I'll send the list to you. We can put it in the minutes. Thank you. Thank you guys.
Thank you, guys.
Next up, we have Ms. Foxhoven for a presentation from PowerPoint.
You guys, or you guys all go along.
Okay, at this time, we would like to recognize two of our junior, senior high school students. The National School Recognition Award honor students who have demonstrated exceptional academic achievement and a steadfast commitment to the values of Tiger Pride. Recipients are recognized for outstanding performance on nationally benchmarked assessments, including the SAT suite of assessments and advanced placement examinations. Beyond academic excellence, honorees embody Tiger Pride through perseverance, respect, integrity, dedication, and empathy, qualities that contribute meaningful to the culture and reputation of La Junta Junior Senior High School. We are proud to congratulate two seniors from La Junta Junior Senior High School who have earned this prestigious award from College Board National School Recognition Program in recognition of their exemplary academic accomplishments and contributions. Would Isabella and Odu please come forward? Congratulations, keep up the hard work, and you're going places, girls. I'm proud of all the things that you do. Congrats. Congratulations. Thank you. All right, item E is our audience portion. We do have two signed up, and then just to go over the rules real quick for a reminder. The chair will call the speakers in order in which they are signed up. The speaker will adhere to the time limits and stop when directed by the chair. No speaker will speak in a disrespectful or inappropriate manner as determined by the chair. Speaker may offer such criticism of school operations and programs as concern them, but in public session, the board will not hear personal complaints against any person connected with the school system. If the speaker fails to adhere to the rules and the direction of the chair, he or she will not be allowed to continue speaking. And if he or she does not stand down, he or she will be asked to leave the premises. No one will be allowed to defer speaking time to someone else. If you don't come up when your name is called, you forfeit your time. Speakers only get one opportunity to address the board on the issue. I have two this evening. And first up, I have Scott Kurtz.
Hi. Good evening, everybody.
Hi.
Good evening, members of the East Otero School District Board. My name is Scott Kurtz, and I come to you today as both a parent and a longstanding member of this community. I appreciate the opportunity to speak, but I must be very direct. I'm here tonight because I'm deeply alarmed by the potential hiring of Vivian Gomez as a substitute teacher within the district. Let me be absolutely clear, this is not a difference of opinion or a minor concern. This is a matter of student safety. There is currently a restraining order in place against Ms. Gomez concerning 4 students at La Junta junior, senior high school, one of whom is my son. These are not rumors or hearsay. This is a legal action that should immediately disqualify her from working anywhere near students, let alone being considered for any position of authority and trust in the classroom. Ms. Gomez has exhibited violent behavior towards children, behavior that was not only unprovoked, but involved a weapon capable of causing serious physical harm. This is not someone with a questionable attitude. This is someone with a documented history of violence and instability. Beyond this, she has demonstrated a disturbing lack of ethics and judgment. Her patterns of erratic and aggressive conduct is well known and easily verifiable to anyone willing to conduct even a basic background check. So I must ask you, how did it get this far? How is it possible that someone with such a documented history of harmful, violent, and exploitative behavior toward children is even being considered for a position in our schools? The fact that I'm sitting here today to say this, that any parent has to come here and say this, tells me that there is something severely broken in your hiring process. Either basic vetting procedures are not being followed, or the safety of our students is being deprioritized for convenience. Either scenario is unacceptable. We entrust the school district with the care and the safety of our children every day. That trust is not unconditional and must be earned and protected. Hiring someone like Ms. Gomez would not only be a betrayal of that trust, but it would also be a clear act of negligence. Let me be clear, Vivian Gomez should not be hired by this district. She should not be employed by the Otero School District or any school district in the state of Colorado. She should not be in a position to supervise or interact with children in any official capacity, period. I call on this board to reject her candidacy immediately and to initiate a thorough review of your hiring procedures. Because if someone like Ms. Gomez can slip through, it begs the question, who else has? Our children deserve better. Our community expects better. And as a parent, I will continue to speak until I see clear, accountable action. Thank you.
Next, I have Angela Curtis. Can I get these to you, okay? We'll see if they'll pass around. Here's a copy of the restraining order that we can all have those, as well as the charges. Hello, my name is Angela Kurtz, and I'm here today to express my concern, and if I'm being honest, disgust that I even have to address the possibility that Vivian Gomez is being considered as a hire for our school district. On February 1st of this year, she viciously attacked 4 children, one of those being my son. All 4 of those boys are current students in this district. Vivian's premeditated and violent attack on our children was shocking and deeply disturbing. The boys were engaging in a harmless game of ding dong ditch. Prior to the attack, the kids can be seen doing somersaults and cartwheels on the lawn. They can also be heard laughing and being silly. Vivian hid in the dark shadows, and when they came up to ring her doorbell, she ambushed them with a 2x4, striking at them, screaming obscenities, and chasing them down. She narrowly missed hitting my son. The cracking sound of the wood smacking the ground instead of my child will be something I'll never forget hearing. The force at which she swung sent pieces of wood flying. As they ran for their lives and tried to flee, she continued her attack on our vehicle, causing thousands of dollars in damage. The entire violent assault was captured on a private citizen security camera. The video is publicly posted online if you're able to view it. The reporting officers, investigators, and DA's office determined it was appropriate to charge her with 5 felonies. 4 Class 5 felony menacing charges and 1 Class 6 felony criminal mischief charge due to the monetary damage to our personal property falling between $2,000 and $5,000. Unfortunately, her lawyer was able to procure a plea of 1 misdemeanor menacing. She was sentenced to supervised probation and ordered to complete anger management classes. There is a protection order, which you have a copy of, in place, naming the 4 children as protected parties. You tell me if you are willing to violate a court order restraining order by allowing her to possibly step at their school.
If your due diligence had been done properly, I would have thought you would have not even considered hiring a restrained party in a criminal case where the victims of a violent act are 4 minor students in your school district. Shame on the person who allowed this application to slip through the cracks. While we're grateful that none of the boys suffered serious physical injuries, the emotional trauma, fear, and lingering anxiety is lasting. The decision to allow her to plead guilty to a lesser charge by our judicial system was a failure to these children. I ask that you, the persons entrusted to act on the behalf of the education, safety, and well-being of children, not continue to fail them. Do not hire Vivian Gomez. She had proven she lacks self-control, empathy, and the ability to make sound judgments. We witnessed a glimpse of her aggressive, ruthless, and reckless behavior towards children. The only reason those 4 boys were not physically harmed is because they were able to outrun her. I don't want to think about what our situation would be had she caught them. She cannot be trusted around children. Thank you. Item F, approval of the agenda.
Make a motion to approve your agenda.
Second.
Motion and second to approve the agenda. Roll call.
A. Ayala.
Aye.
Mrs. S. Ayala.
Aye.
Mr. Coleman.
Aye.
Mrs. Leyland.
Aye. Consent agenda.
So we have 3 new hires that we'd like to put forward. Shauna Daniel, new hire as a district nurse for the 25-26 school year. Gannon Hart, a new hire as a lifeguard at the Lahana Junior Senior High School for the 25-26 school year. And Lene Tafoya Reeves, a new hire as an activity bus driver for the 25-26 school year.
And then extra duty assignments.
Oh, yes, is it different? You want me to go through each of the personnel?
No, we have a copy in this public as well.
So, but also we have the winter extra duty assignments that were in your packet for 25-26 school year.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve the consent agenda as presented. Questions or comments?
Sorry.
Okay.
Just one quick, where does the district nurse work out of?
She's been housed in my building primarily, but she goes to the buildings. Yeah, she just has a space to work in at the primary school.
That's good.
Yeah, no worries.
Any other questions? Roll call.
Mrs. A. Ayala.
Aye.
Mrs. S. Ayala.
Aye.
Mr. Coleman.
Aye.
Mrs. Leyland.
Aye. Financial report.
All right, at this time, I'd like to bring up Sarah Seegers and Kim Griego from Abacus to present our financial report. Shouldn't be here anymore.
Better not get sick of looking at us.
Well, at least they're not on the big monitor with her.
This is very true.
In front of everybody, right?
So the 2 topics that we want to cover with you guys tonight are the August financials and also give you an update on the audit situation. So let's go through the August financials first. And then close with where we're at with the audit. What we have pulled up for you guys, or what's in your board packet, was a balance sheet as well as a profit and loss or a revenue and expense report. So if you can go to your revenue and expense report first. It's also called the income statement, known as many different.
They have the summary and the details. So we're looking at the summary now.
Yeah, we'll go over the summary, but you guys will always be provided with the full detail too. In case you have a question, you can look through all that. So first section, what you see is the revenues that have been received, and these are August or July and August year-to-date totals. It's not shocking that in the month of August, we just collected $1,700. Some of it, oh, you're on Fund 21. There we go. There we go.
Yeah, my goodness, here we are.
1.1. The largest amount that we collect in this time of year is the state equalization. So that's the funding that comes in from CDE. This is based on, right now, the projected student count that CDE has in place for us until we go through the October count that's going to happen here on October 1st. Then, if we are increase in students or decrease in students, they start to do what's considered the buyback. So they'll either adjust our payment up or adjust our payment down, depending on what that student count comes in at. The other piece that I want to point out is, as we're looking through these financials, since we're through August, things should look about 17% budget to actual. So that's also another good thing to get used to looking at is, are we running about where we have our budget set? So you'll see that for revenues for Fund 10, we're sitting at 13%, almost 14% collected. So a little bit under what is budgeted. Some of that comes into play because of student fees, any sort of collections on grants, all of that hasn't obviously started happening yet, too early in the fiscal year. I'm going to jump down to the expense area. You love yourself some 21.
Keeps jumping down there.
Okay. So there, if we're still playing that gut check game, you're going to look at the far right corner or far right column, excuse me, and we're making sure that anything that is 17 at or around 17%. So some of these areas will appear to be high first of the year, depending on how much pre-purchased supplies that the district needed to purchase. The other thing to pay attention to, which I asked Kim earlier, playing the gotcha game with the accountants. So there's a line item here that doesn't check out when I'm applying my 17% budget to actual line items. And so you'll see on the line item for other objects, which is the 0800 category, what that is showing is that we have property tax. Yeah, property. So you'll see way on the right-hand side where property shows at 168%. So again, right there, just being new to seeing all these reports, getting used to, that's a great area to ask a question for. Why are we 2 months in and we're already showing this much, high, as far as the spend goes?
In requisition.
Purchase orders. Yep, and so the third column on the sheet is the open purchase orders. And you'll see that there's $164,000 that are sitting in open purchase orders. One thing that we've been doing is going through not only cleaning up the books from prior years, but also really working with staff this year, making sure that account coding is much more accurate. So that way, as we go through the course of the year, each report that we give you guys is as accurate as possible when it comes to different expenses that are hitting the books. So if there's no other questions about Fund 10, we'll just move quickly through the other baby funds.
Insurance fund.
So insurance fund for Fund 18, no activity so far, no. Then we go to the preschool fund, nothing. And Fund 21. So Fund 21 is the food service program. Again, we're still applying the same concept that we should be about 17%. Food service is a little bit hard because we start the year off and there are, of course, purchases that need to happen before the year, starting with kitchen supplies and whatnot. One question that I had earlier with Kim was, why don't I see any salaries or benefits in Fund 21, which is the food service program? And you'll see that the largest amount of purchased services comes in that 0500 category. And that represents the contractor that's contracted to provide those services. So any questions on the food service program?
So it's separated, then we have the food service, just like food service operating versus food service salaries, personnel, employment, and that we quote as 0500.
Yes, so that, the 0500 category is the contracted, I don't know the name of the organization, but they help provide, provide the services for the food.
So under 0500, is that anything that we have a contract with, or is it just the charcoal?
It would be pretty much anything that is contracted in the food service program. Yeah,
But just food service.
just food service.
Okay.
Yeah, that's correct.
So looking at your 17%, there's a couple of supplies and other purchase services are. Do we need to worry about that?
It's the beginning of the school year, so they're bringing all the supplies in, they're bringing all the equipment, they're getting things set up. So my suggestion is to watch how the next couple months go. It should balance back out, but if it doesn't, then definitely, we'll make sure that Patrick is able to address it when we go through the budgets.
Will you be going over any of our reimbursements?
Yeah, so once those start coming in, those are normally a 2-month lag with food service program. So yes, absolutely. Each month you guys are gonna get these reports going forward. So, again, another thing that we want to get you guys used to is looking at these reports so that you know that the books are running right on track. So the next is grants. So grant reimbursements, for the most part, those run off of title funds. And the state, from what I understand from the grant department, will start receiving reimbursement requests early October. So, and really it's too early in the first part of the year to start requesting a whole lot of money coming back in on those grants because it has to apply to current expenses that we've had. So, the funding, what's the funding? Do you remember that comes in on the grant fund? What little bit that is?
I'm not sure. I don't remember.
Okay. Any questions on grants?
Is it? So this is just title funds. Not talking about like our ESSER.
ESSER is, has been completed now for a couple of years. But we have, so the district has, title funding coming in. We also have additional funding coming in for SPED services, which would be state funding. And I could provide a bigger, more detailed list for you guys, if you'd like, that does show each grant and the award amount and what they align to. Well, that's the Easy Grant.
We received money from Easy Grant, is what we did.
Yeah. If that would help you guys, then that way you can see, this is all the grants that the district has been awarded. These are the awarded amounts. And then we can keep track of when those funding sources are coming in. That will also start to become, more detailed out when you guys look at your other portion of the income statement, which is the full detail. So, look in Fund 22 down in the revenue area and you'll see those grants listed down there. Did I answer your question?
I think, well, I didn't bring my notes from the last time. And I know we had talked about like the independent or individual audit. What is it about the grants?
Yeah.
I didn't know if ESSER is
Yes.
part of that because that was so messy. I know there were some school districts.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. The word single's a hot button around here. But I will answer that when we go down the road of audit.
But I
Okay
also
with that.
didn't want to jump ahead. That's why I'm like, I don't know when to ask these specific questions.
Yeah.
But like,
Yeah.
because I know we're
Word
supposed to
single.
have that
on our website and things like that. And I
Yeah.
just, there's been a lot, so,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah,
I
so
won't-
remind me if I don't cover that, when we're talking about the audit, update, please remind me to talk about that, because that is a specific thing I talked to the auditor about on Friday. So,
Thanks.
the next fund down is our athletics, Fund 23. Anything you want to bring? Fund 23 is not showing any activity currently for the year.
Is that one of our boosters?
Boosters is in part of Fund 23, yes.
We worked with the principals last week
Yes.
and, spoke regarding the athletics and the activity accounts. We also spoke with the auditor. And we are currently working on bringing all athletics and activities into your financial, statements. So you will be able to see all of the details in there. Right now, they're housed in a separate database. And so it's not included in your financial statements. So we are working on it. I did create a worksheet. We worked with Jen and Patrick, and we're working on getting those pulled over. My goal is to have them in by October, so you can see all the revenue sources and expenses go down.
Okay, so how does that work with boosters? Because boosters is separate from the schools, right?
Yeah, so it's a separate line item within Fund 23. So, when those balances come over from the other software and we're putting it into SDS or this main set of books, you'll be able to see a line item not only for boosters, but if we have another account for baseball, for football, for cheerleading, for robotics, you'll see all of those listed out on those reports going forward.
I'm gonna leave it.
You're gonna let it stop right there?
Yep.
Okay.
It almost escaped me, but I'm just gonna stew on it a little bit longer.
Right. Stu, let me know if it does pop back out. Okay, Fund 31 is just the debt service fund, so that's the principal and interest payment that will be due this year. Fund 41, and then we would end at 48.
Why does it keep bouncing back? I don't have a mouse, is my problem, I'm sorry. We have our capital projects fund. It's our 43. So we would need to. Fine.
Oh, you're good.
There's your 41. There's your
43. So what you'll see on Fund 43 is that we have a transfer that's noted in the revenue area. That transfer would be coming in from Fund 10 of the 60,000. And the transfer expense is shown in the budget column in expense line, which is for
Any services.
purchase services. Yeah, so again, that fund is to represent any sort of capital improvements throughout the district that happen. And it can be used multi-year. So if there's something that we want to set aside, knowing that in the future we need to replace an HVAC unit, we can start to have those discussions about moving a little chunk of money over into 43 so we can save money for those bigger projects.
Is that right? Didn't we have more money in there? Like a lot more money in
We're
there?
gonna go to the balance sheet.
I almost had a
Yeah.
heart attack. I'm like, wait,
Don't worry,
I
go here too. Wait, hold on.
That's just the budget.
I'm just like, no,
Yeah.
we got more money.
No, let's go down to let's get to the down and dirty. Let's go to the balance sheet.
Scared me.
Yep. I know, I'm sure I shared with you guys last time how much my passions are to the balance sheet. I love me some balance sheet. Because again, you get to see your assets, which are the bank accounts that the district runs, as well as any accounts receivable, which would be money owed to the district. Next section down, we see liabilities, so that would be money that the district owes out to other entities. And then the equity area. And the equity area is what decreases the chance of having a heart attack. I'll say that. Sound fair?
Perfect.
Okay. So in Fund 10, we see that our what was that?
I'm the only one who was freaking out about that, because I'm like.
I was watching some poker faces.
Be alarmed.
We're good.
That's been a long Monday. Be alarmed.
The big thing that I'm gonna do, so that we don't have to go through line by line with all these, is we're gonna jump down to that equity area. Because the equity area is basically communicating to us how much money we have, in our savings or our operating account.
I see it. Thank you.
So in
Found it.
Fund 10, you see that our, grand total equities. Page 2, yep, you see the 1.725. That number represents the line right above it, which is that net fund change. If I could retitle that line, it would say profit or loss. And that's the profit or loss that we've had so far from June or July and August of this current year. So the way that reads, because that number is a positive number in accounting, that's actually a bad thing. So we are showing a current loss in Fund 10 of $663,000. Not heart attack worthy yet, because of all the different funding sources that need to still start coming in through grants,
Okay.
and that sort of thing. So any questions on the equity area of Fund 10? That also gives us a sneak peek as to what the numbers looked like at the end of last year. It's another way of looking at that as well. So Fund 18 is the insurance fund. Fund 19 is the preschool fund. And let's go to the food service fund, which is the Fund 21. We'll stop here for a minute. One conversation that I was having earlier today with a gentleman from CDE, we were talking about the fund balance that the food service fund is actually carrying right now. Did you guys talk about that at all earlier? Okay. So what you see there is that we have close to $1 million that we're holding over in the food service fund. And one thing that's suggested is that we start to pull down some of those by using some, just forgot the word.
Utilities.
No, like when a cost is not necessarily direct, indirect costs. There we go.
I was just-
Yeah. It has been a long day. So anyway, we can start to apply some of the indirect costs that mainly the district office has that goes towards having to support food service program, expenses. So, that is something that I'll bring to the board in a few months. Once we figure out what those expenses are that we can apply to the food service fund. But the fact that food service is carrying such a large amount sitting in their fund balance area is a little bit, we need to buy it down a little bit.
So with our indirect costs, is that something that is a negotiated percentage price that we do
Yeah, so
with
it's,
CDE or with Chartwell's or?
there's a format that CDE is gonna provide, Dr. K and I, and then we'll review that and get it to you guys. You didn't know you were gonna do that.
No.
Lucky guy.
Thanks for your enthusiasm.
So I'm gonna, jump down, we can bypass 22 because Fund 22 really shouldn't be carrying any major balance sitting in it anyway. And let's go to Fund 23. So Fund 23 is where we are going to see the boosters activity and the amount of money that Fund 23 has in cash accounts. The reason why I'm hesitant in saying that is the project of us taking all the Fund 23 activity out of this other accounting database, putting it into this main set so we can start to see it within this database, is within this next month. So the next financial statements that you guys are gonna see, you'll see that data. It's actually a good thing that we're going to move that Fund 23 activity out of a separate database and put it into the main set of books. Is for you as a board. You don't have to try to remember, wait, hold on, we had another set of books somewhere else, and where are those reports and how do we get to see those? You're gonna start to see them within the monthly report packet that you guys get.
So with the activity funds.
Yeah.
With it being moved into, how to word this? Into the main budget, like. So some of the monies aren't ours to spend, like we don't, so that's where I'm like, how do we?
We're just their umbrella.
Yeah, we're their pass through, we're the fiscal agent.
Yeah, you're there.
No,
Yeah.
but I mean, I understand that with like our PTOs, but then we have that also a unique relationship, I guess you could say, with our boosters too.
Yeah.
So I guess that's just something that I would say, put a pin in that for the next board.
What Fund 23 is doing is we are managing that money on behalf of fill in the blank with the organization. So boosters, football, cheerleading, robotics. So no, the district, as we operate, cannot just reach over into the boosters or the Fund 23 money, grab it and start using it over into Fund 10 for operational purposes. So Fund 23 is, if you just kind of phrase it in your head, we are managing that money on behalf of someone else. So it has strings tied to it, depending on what organization raised those funds. Did that make sense? Mm-hmm. Yep, so, yeah, no touchy. We get to see it and we're managing it, but yeah, no touchy. Any questions about Fund 23?
Yeah, well, we have like a statement that says what it's for, like it's for cheer, for each one.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it'll be great when you guys get to see that. It really is. It spells it out 100%. And you'll see all that up in the assets area on these balance sheets.
Okay.
So we'll review that when it starts to come out. So again, a big part to us cleaning up the books is this is another one where it's too easy to forget that we have another database that houses all of this activity. And let's just get it over into the main database so that we can all keep an eye on it.
Is there another, are there other databases out there?
Database girl? Are there any other?
I mean, you can use any.
I mean like.
In addition to
in
In
addition
addition to the.
That we,
not with financials, no.
No, okay.
These are the only two with the financials, correct?
Fund 31, again, is just the debt service fund. So that one too is just basically a run and maintain profit and, or, principal and interest payments.
This one, 41, I'm working with the auditors on because this one should be completed from what I understand. So that 41 will end up probably being adjusted after the audit is complete.
So now we're gonna go down to Fund 43, which was the heart attack fund. And I'm gonna go to the equities area where you see that number in parentheses of 746. So that's as much money as the district set aside for capital use throughout the district. And that's representing multi-year savings. So I couldn't tell you by looking at the balance sheet currently if any of that is restricted. So there's different ways of earmarking those savings dollars, the equities, so that you have set aside, we're gonna do a track. Let's reserve some of those funds for the track. And that's something that we can work on later on in the year, but really making sure that that money there, is it for a specific purpose, or is it that we can use it just district-wide for any capital improvement project? The way it reads currently is a grab bag, so district-wide, anything could be used for it.
That's how I understand it. Because
Grab
I
bag?
got real scared. I was like, wait,
Where's my grab bag?
But does this figure include the 60,000 from this year's budget?
That is represented in that 20,000 that sits right below that 20,000 in loss. Yeah, so anything that is in this current year is gonna show up in those net change lines. That makes sense? Sort of.
Yeah.
I feel bad because I'm asking you guys to act like accountants, and please have me slow down or rephrase anything at any point when you're not getting your question answered.
We can change this word too, to say profit loss. If that's easy.
would help. So any questions at all about the financial statements?
Well, we kind of in past, and maybe I'm misunderstanding. So when you brought up liabilities.
Yep. You wanna go back?
Well, I'd like to go through our liabilities, because that's the one that I have in front of.
Yep, let's go, let's head back. So Fund 10 liabilities. Okay, let's roll up our sleeves and let's talk about Fund 10 liabilities, right? For the most part, what fills those buckets? So if you look at liabilities in that whole area, those, I in my head think of them as big red buckets. Money goes in and money should be coming out. Those are very live amounts that roll around. For the most part, what you see there is that it's all aligned to the payroll, right? And so again, we should not see large totals that are just hanging out in there for the entire year. That for you as a board should be concerning, because that would say, for instance, we haven't made our para payment or we haven't made our tax payment. You'll see it down in those lower areas. As we have been working diligently on cleaning up the East Otero payroll, we have been addressing a lot of these payments that were owed out. What you see is that some of these lines don't have those parentheses around it. And what that means is that there are monies that maybe have been overpaid that are owed back to the district. So if you see numbers in that area that don't have the parentheses around it, that's money owed back to the district for some reason. So this has been a project for us to go through all the different liabilities, taxes, para was another big one, and rectify the balances that had been put into those accounts year over year.
I love Fund 10, but I have to coach volleyball games, so pardon me.
That's okay.
So, speaking of para,
Yeah.
because I've always brought up at our meet and confer, are we straight?
With para,
All of it?
with everything?
Yes.
So with para, yes, we,
Except for one. I have an update, yes.
okay. Do you want to do your update now?
So I've been working very closely with our para rep, David, K-O-O. He's our para representative. He's been very, very insightful on past and everything. We found there was a few employees that have not had para withheld from them at all. So he's helped us to make sure that we are making sure all employees are covered under the para according to all the para rules. So all employees are para reps or are para eligible, and we had 3 employees that did not have it included for a while now. So I'm working with him on fixing those. I also went through all of the American Fidelity 125 forms. These are all your pre-tax, post-tax. I've updated all of that for American Fidelity, but as I was doing that, unfortunately, I found that in 2019, para made some rule changes. So anybody hired after 2019 of July, they cannot take those para pre-tax benefits on just the retirement portion. They can only have it on their federal and state. That's it. So we can't, I know it's so confusing. There's so many rules and regulations all over, but that is one thing that I recently found as I went through and updated all the 125 forms, is we are not compliant with anybody hired after July of 2019 to make sure their benefits are set up properly. So I have it. I told them we're working on payroll this week. I told him by next week, I will have a list of all employees, their hire dates, and he's gonna help me identify the ones that need to be addressed. And then I'm gonna go back in and I'll update all their pre-tax, post-tax on those rules.
So when we do something like that, it's not just a, let's go fix these numbers and change this amount and change this amount and now they match. So now, because we're talking about taxes, pre-tax, how does this impact the employees? as far as their taxes, like, are we going to find out then that we have employees that are going to owe taxes, or find out that they were in a different tax bracket, or they were not supposed to be in a specific tax bracket, and like, is it that messy?
I'm not sure about the tax brackets. It's a matter of,
But like, it's not being, enough is being withheld, so then.
so basically it's just the para portion is the problem. Is the taxable gross or the gross portion of the para reporting. So the employees that were hired after 2019, they've been taking advantage of that benefit of having that pre-tax retirement portion, which is 11% of their gross earnings of that benefit. So if the benefit's $35, it's only going to be 11% of that $35. That is not taxable, or it's not pre-taxed anymore. So what David mentioned was, we will basically go through like an audit. They're going to go through and look at all the employees. We will receive a bill first for all the employer portion. The last 2 years is 21.4% is what Paramount is. The last, I think it's 2 years or 3 years, 2 years now. But now we got 6 years that we're looking at. So it was a different rate. So they'll come back to us with a bill. This is what you should have paid and you didn't. We will pay the bill. Then they will go to the employees and say, if you want to be vested starting this date, this is what needs to be done to correct it. So they will have their choice at that point if they want to catch up on those, whatever time frame is missing.
Are employees going to get it?
Yeah, so Para will reach out to each one of those employees to communicate to them, here's what we've seen. This is an issue that, needs to get corrected in payroll, and your liability portion of that is X. Would you like to pay your account back
They don't
that
have to.
X? And they don't need to.
They don't have to.
Yeah.
It's a choice.
However, the school district will make it right by all of those employees by
The school side.
paying the school side of it.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah,
I
I know
just want to
where,
make sure we're doing right by our employees.
yes, yeah,
And not, okay.
yeah, that's one thing that we've been very careful of, especially working with Dr. K along the way, is making sure that the employees are communicated. There's a lot of different, I understand where your question is coming from, because you're wondering, do we need to do W-2 corrections or revised W-2s for those prior years for those employees? Because that was a concern that we had too, with how far back does this go, right? Where does this stop? And so David with Para has been amazing to work with, because he understands the situation that we've been in, that we want to make it right, and that the district first and foremost is going to pay on behalf of those employees what is owed on those amounts. Yeah.
When do you think we'll get the bill from Para?
I have to get a worksheet. And so Michael, I told him I would have the worksheet to him. This week was payroll week, so I told him I'd have the worksheet to him next week. And so they'll work from there. I can, make sure we have an update for you next board meeting.
Also, what happens if a person left the district and is in another district now? Are you gonna contact them?
We still, Para's driven off of people's social security numbers, and we do have those past employees' social security numbers. So the district will be able to deposit the missing amount of their contribution on behalf of whoever it was, even if they're not with the district anymore.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, Para's been a big one, obviously, for us to work on first and foremost. We had many months of past Para payments that hadn't been addressed. And so we worked with Para, got those amounts paid, and then also asked in that same phone conversation, we know that you have fines and fees that you hand out to districts. Please tell us what that is so that we can right the wrong immediately and make sure that that gets paid as well. So, yeah, I mean, it's been a lot of back and forth with Para for sure. And Yeah,
So I have this question. And I don't. When you say that there were payments that weren't made or they weren't, like, is it just, like, were we looking at the book saying, okay, well, these checks are still outstanding? Or were we like, you know, there was never one issued, or are we making these payments electronically now? Instead of cutting a check and then being
Everything's
like, where
been
is it?
it's electronic, yeah.
Okay,
Most liabilities are electronic. Speaking of para is electronic. It's been electronic for many years. But we found,
usually get that way.
yes.
Yeah.
So we just didn't,
They weren't submitted. So with para, I think we found, I want to say it was 13 or 14 payments had not been made.
I'm sorry?
13 or 14 payments had not been made for the past year,
Just this year.
just last school year, fiscal year 25. Everything starting this new school year, starting July of 25 and forward, we are making everything on time and current. But we also had to catch up on all those from 24 as well as 25, early 25. So all payments have been completed. They verified they've received all files. So with para, as we are right now, we are totally caught up with them.
What was that fine?
$30,000.
And we did pay that last week, I believe it was.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I as an accountant budget person hate fines and fees because that's taking money away from my operations. And it makes a person like me grumpy because I want to know there should be no reason why we're having to pay this fee, late fee, fine, whatever it is. So, it would be interesting to go back and look at a balance sheet from last year. Because, one of the lines that we have in liabilities is the para line that's a liability. And just see how much was sitting on that balance sheet at that time.
No, I was gonna ask, like, it's not precedent, I don't mean it immediately, but I would like to know, like, from 2019, I guess, to pick a date.
Yep.
What are our total amount of fees that were applied for late payments of anything of our liabilities?
Yeah.
We had to.
Yep. That was the process that Dr. K and I have been talking about, is that it's something that we need to do.
I created a new specific account number just for these fees.
So, but going back and yeah, looking at everything that happened historically so that we can, learn from our wrongs, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. So one amazing thing that David Koo with para has said is he said, I am shocked that nobody within the district was retiring during that time frame that we were missing doing our para payments. Because the district misses doing those para payments. The employees' para accounts have not been credited for those. So, he said it's just interesting that there was never any cause for a para representative to look further into somebody, that was exiting the district in retirement.
Yeah, so we did update the termination and the hire reporting. We found it's been several, what did she say, years, right?
Yeah.
It was several years before, since anybody was reported as terminated from the school district. So that was just recently corrected as well.
Okay,
When she says terminated, that could be resigned.
yeah,
Anything, yeah.
Yeah.
Just no longer with us.
that's why I'm like. I have another question. Okay. I know we had a conversation, we were talking about, of course, having our own internal controls and then having written processes. I was curious then, because I think it was when, Mr. Romero was still talking about, like, we were talking about having like every week, we were gonna make sure we were cutting our checks, or like, are we doing that then, or are we still having an issue with like getting stuff out? I don't know that.
You can answer it, but Yes, we corrected that.
Yeah, we have corrected that. In your board packet, you guys have a final document that has a pink, has a pink title to it. Or that's pink.
It's orange, I did school colors.
Salmon colored, so the document that has the salmon colored on the top. What we're doing with that is absolutely keeping track of when are these payments done and going over those with Dr. K on a very regular basis as well. What you see there is what's needed monthly, what's needed quarterly, what's needed annually. So that way, not only is this good for communication, has this been made, but ultimately it's helping finance, whoever's in those seats, know that there are certain things that have to be done on a monthly basis. This is what they are. Quarterlies, this is what they are. So going forward, you'll continue to see the salmon colored sheet too.
I think it looks more.
I do have a question with the Medicare one. It doesn't have a date on it. That's the only one I've seen that I know.
Yeah, I wasn't sure exactly. I needed to find out the Medicare reporting date. I didn't have.
We did that like 3 weeks ago, so I'll let you know.
Okay. I wasn't sure on the exact date, so.
Yeah.
I thought-
No, that was good. That was a good call.
Yeah, because I know we get fined for that too, if we don't pay that on time, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if there's no other questions about the financials, I'm gonna give a.
I have one question.
Absolutely.
Back to Fund 10 on the equity.
Yeah.
I know the Tabor, what that is, and then what's that next line? Is that our reserves?
Oh, so that, so the next line down is the unassigned fund balance. So that is what's available in cash to the district from prior years' profit or loss happening. So 1.8 million. You should ultimately be able to see that 1.8 or around that sitting in real life cash in the banks. So again, kind of like what I referred to about Fund 43, where we don't have any restrictions on that money. So it's able to be used however the district sees fit. If there was something along the way, like Tabor is called out on its own, that is a very restricted amount that we are not allowed to touch. So along the way, if there are other things that we need to do to restrict some of that, that fund balance, we can do that. But for right now, it's all unassigned, unrestricted.
I thought we couldn't do that.
Yeah, you can, if as long as it's gotta be board, like a resolution through the board.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did we we're supposed to set aside for our superintendent's salary too. Did we do that?
That, I don't believe it's done yet. No, we'll do that when we do the amended budget. Yeah, we already had our budget in place prior to Dr. K's entrance.
And then.
So update on audit. We'll start with that single audit first so that we don't forget about it. A conversation that we had with Dimitri, the auditor, on Friday, is that we are having a hard time coming up with supporting documents that are needed for that audit itself. So the way an audit works is, we say that we had a certain expense in a certain category. We need to have a support of an invoice and a form of payment in order for us to show that, yes, in fact, the district did in fact have that expense happen. We have not been able to provide full documents to be able to support those expenses that the district shows. And so the auditor has set the single audit off on the side for now so that he could do our other two audits first. I did ask him, does the district or will the district have any sort of penalties or fees if we produce audits, fiscal audits, without having that single audit addressed? So in the big picture, but it very rarely happens, the federal government could ask for us to send some money back, depending on what it looks like. Ultimately, they could also look at it as reducing down some of the awards that we would get in federal dollars. The auditor, had not seen that ever happen. But I just wanted to make sure that I asked it so that I could let you guys know where the status is with that, and are there any fees or penalties that we could run into?
Or had he ever seen?
Actually both.
Okay.
He said, yeah, they are both very, yes, it could happen. However, the cost of what we got, that needs to be single audited versus on a much bigger scale, bigger companies, bigger organizations. He said he didn't think that we would get those kind of fines or penalties. So
So the reason why I asked,
I was just gonna, so we will Dr. Crumholz or someone have to make a decision whether to go forward without these documents? How is that gonna, because it's being set aside now, but
yeah,
it can't sit on the
eventually we
side
have to.
forever.
Yeah, we eventually, an auditor is ultimately going for a clean judgment, right? That's what the auditor is going for. He wouldn't be able to provide that ruling on that audit because we can't support, the entire thing with documentation that supports those numbers. So he would not be able to rubber stamp the audit itself. Again, we have kind of three things going on right now because we have that single audit. We still have the audit for 23-24 that needs to be done before we can even start the audit for 24-25. So in the conversation that we were having, it's more important for us to get the 23-24 audit done first, because right now we're getting penalized with not being allowed to collect property taxes. So do that collection, do that audit first, address this current year so that our funding continues to keep coming in, and then single audit. We deal with that single audit. Yeah, it's kind of hard to pick your battles, right?
Yeah.
Because we've got big projects that are on the plate currently. So I'm going to give you a quick summary then of what's going on with the 23-24 audit. Another portion of our conversation that we had on Friday, that audit had some good momentum going, and unfortunately had to stop 2 weeks ago. Yeah. Because the auditors couldn't tie back numbers to the prior auditors' verified numbers. So what we were able to track is that there was a payroll check that it had been voided in this current year, but it was actually a payroll check that had been issued back in 2023. So it messed up those balances from a few years ago by having that void happen. So since then, we've locked the software down so that only users can use the software for this current year and not put anything in prior years back.
A check was voided.
Yeah, so there was a payroll check that had not cleared. And we see this sometimes, it's not often, but yes, we do run across this where an employee might have gotten a bonus or just never deposited their check for some reason. And this was a stale dated check from years ago that had been voided and voided incorrectly in the software.
I believe it was reissued with a different check number, but it didn't go through the proper processes. And then someone had one and then voided it with the wrong date. But it was reissued already back in that time frame.
Okay. So the employee did
get paid. It's just basically at that time frame, there was 2 checks issued to him and only one should have been.
Yeah.
So with that, I want to just let you guys know that the auditors, all auditors right now are on a strict schedule because charter schools and districts are being audited currently. And in that conversation, he said, I want to be honest in the fact that for right now, I need to also park that because I need to get my other districts that were currently ready to go for their audits addressed. And on our side time, we will address that 23-24 audit again. Him and I have been able to give them a revised trial balance to start it again. But he wanted to be honest with us and let us know that's where that one sits currently.
He said that he'll start back up. I spoke with David. He's the one that's doing all of the data entry, or doing all the data work. And he said he should be able to start it again within a week.
And what's our timeline for getting it done?
I'm not sure how far into the books they were able to get before they had to stop it. There's accounts payable testing, there's payroll testing that happens. They do accounts receivable testing. So, all of that stuff is outside of them then verifying the numbers that sit on the trial balance. So, he wasn't real clear on, I can tell you within a month, you're gonna have this. Just wanting to be real transparent and honest with us. So, not a fun position for us to be sitting in, for sure.
So our property taxes will still be held?
Yeah.
Until we have the one that's paused, restarted, so that they can start the one who.
Yep, yeah, so we will be able to collect those property taxes that were being withheld from us from 23-24 as soon as the audit is done and we communicate those numbers up to CDE and it's fully verified. So then we will receive the property taxes that have been withheld for that year, and then we'll start on this next year.
So assuming we won't have this problem going forward, right? Because we have our new system in place and we have you guys. So for 25, 26, we're gonna have no problems.
Yep.
Getting our audit started and done.
I will tell you, there are some things within my purview that I am adamant on. I want invoices stored in the software. I don't want to continue to keep relying on somebody's file drawer off somewhere else that's holding all the keys to the kingdom when it comes to grants, funding sources, and or even just normal day-to-day operations. So I do come across very adamant sometimes about that because I want that accounting software to be the source that houses all of that, and that we stop having to rely so much on whose desk was that sitting on at what time frame, is that person still with us, that sort of stuff.
Which is why we can't find a paper trail.
Correct. So if we do, there are records being, and that have been kept, they just are not complete enough to be able to, like for instance, that single audit.
So that's where. The reason why I'm interested in that is because when it first started with Esther, and like there were some school districts that didn't even want to take the money because they didn't want the headache of having to track all of what they were buying, and then they were afraid that then they were going to get told that actually that's not an approved purchase, and then have to give that. So there were people who didn't even want to touch it. So I knew this was going to be complicated. But I think that's the reason why I keep asking. I know you said that it's been done, but like, that's still part of the single audit, right? So we can't, it's not that. And when we say that we can't find, so we don't have a paper trail, meaning we can't find invoices for things that we had done, or, so we can't go to like our vendor and be like, do you have your copy? Can we?
I don't know.
Is that like what we're talking about?
That's kind of what we're talking about, but yeah, it goes deep, right?
Some of it is payroll as well. So there wasn't accurate tracking on the reasons why people were getting stipends or the money being distributed to the employees as well. So there wasn't
covered by those grant sources. Yeah. Again, and Kim and I's ultimate goal is that you don't even have to trust what I'm saying. Oh yeah, that's done. I don't want you to trust what I say. I want you guys to be able to have things in place that verify that, yeah, she said that, but let's go figure it out and see if she actually did do it. So, and again, a lot of that is the software is fully up to date and it's got all the activity in there with all the copies of all the invoices. We put payroll data in there as well. So, it needs to be fully complete.
Yes, I just, so, who has access to this database now?
Currently it's Kim and myself. And I believe the district office. And then there are, principals, I think, have access, but we start to limit out what can they do, what can they see within the software.
So I don't go to check and throw it off.
Correct. Bookkeepers have access, yeah.
Is that, maybe I'm getting off, but is that a good thing? It seems to me that,
Yeah.
that's a good
It
thing.
is a good thing, yeah. Ultimately, the district needs to be using purchase orders. And the reason for that is so then we know like what's the expense that's been approved. And then, walk that expense all the way through if a purchase card, for instance, has been used. So no, it is a good thing. We just need to make sure that, the security of it is set up in a way that we, people are not out there just recklessly able to do something crazy, like void a check in prior years. Yeah.
And we've also given the bookkeepers and the principals access to their accounts. So they're able to watch their budget and all of the expenses going in and out.
And then we're in alignment now, like district and then building bookkeepers.
Yep. Yep. And
We have an understanding of why we're coding things, we know our, and
We had a meeting last
week or 2 weeks ago. Yeah.
And we'll have regular meetings with
monthly meeting.
Kim and the bookkeepers from each of the buildings.
okay. So I showed on here that this is an action item, but this felt informational. Are we approving?
I think if anything, you'd be approving the August financials.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll entertain a motion unless there are other questions. I know this one's bad, it's a presentation.
Make a motion to approve the August financials.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the August financial report is presented. Any other questions or comments? Roll call?
A. Alla. Mrs. S. A. Alla.
Aye.
Mr. Colomans.
Aye.
Mrs. Leyland.
Aye. Okay, we are on item 4 minutes.
I make a motion to approve the minutes of August. Our regular meeting.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the minutes of August 25 regular board meeting. Any questions, comments, or objections? Roll call?
Mrs. A. Alla. Mrs. S. A. Alla.
Aye.
Mr. Colomans.
Aye.
Mrs. Leyland.
Aye. Superintendent report.
Yes, so just kind of wanted to give another budget update. I've been meeting with Glenn Gutherson from CDE. He used to be the CFO for District 11. He's kind of my private tutor now. So we're working on the big picture, Glenn and I. Abacus is going to, their job is to clean the books. My job with Glenn is the big picture moving forward, creating systems. So he came down to La Junta today and we had a great meeting. I've already Zoomed with them. He's got my speed dial now. So really excited to have that opportunity. And we're also working with the Colorado School Finance, which he's a part of with Tracy Rainey. So we have a lot of supports that CDE is providing.
Is he paid?
No, they're free service.
Okay.
And as well as the Colorado School Finance Project with Tracy Rainey, their free services offering us the opportunity to, it's basically high level tutoring for free. And it's so far has been, I'm not going to say exciting with accounting, but it has been informational. So we're looking to really clean up systems moving forward, making sure we have staffing ratios, making sure that when we present to the board in March, our new budget, we'll have a better understanding. The board will, same with me, of where we're moving forward on that big picture to get us, right now, not just get us out of the mess, but use our finances in a way that's going to benefit students the most moving forward. So that's the goal with where we're at. I'm gonna steal Dr. Sam Schneider for, he's got a presentation here in a minute, but with our school accountability, there was a lot to be excited about. We definitely had, as a district, we moved from priority improvement to improvement, so we did make gains. The intermediate school is still in priority improvement, but they also improved. The high school improved, and the primary is not, because the second graders aren't taking any accountability tests, but as a district, there's a lot to celebrate, and I won't steal Dr. Schneider's presentation, but just I wanted to be able to thank all of our teachers and all of our administrators for the hard work they're doing. We still got a lot more work and we're not even close to being done, but we're starting to move in the right direction. The last couple of things I have, you have the attached 2025 fall newsletter from Chartwells. And if any board members would like to participate in the 2025 homecoming parade, you have the attached parade rules and registration sheet. We do have magnetic signs for any vehicles in my office if you want to use them. They say East Otero School District Board of Education. So hopefully we'll see everybody at the homecoming parade.
Do we have an end date for any of the strategic planning or anything like that?
Not yet. We're still working on, right now, a big thing is getting our finances done, but that is coming with the strategic plan. Last week I was at a conference and there was a couple presentations about getting the strategic plan up and running, you know, how we do it with the board and the community. So not there yet, but we will be pretty soon.
Any other questions for Dr. Kimball?
Well, hey, everybody. It's great to be back in Atlanta. I will say the room used to be a lot more full, and I think people missed the memo that I was going to be just, some state accountability stuff. Otherwise, they would have stayed a lot longer. So it's great to be down here. I'm down here with two hats on and two purposes today. One is as your support lead for CDE, which means things that wheels that need to get greased. That's a role I get to play, a little bit of air traffic control for anything that you all need. And then also as a transformation manager, which, as I've shared before, is a really important role when schools are going through improvement efforts. There's a lot of moving parts, so I get to play a role in that as well. So tonight, I want to just be extremely brief, but also fairly celebratory and a good dose of informative, talking a little bit about Colorado's accountability system, do a quick reorientation of that. We'll talk a little bit about some of the data that Dr. K just named. And then I also want to just kind of give some updates around the follow-up from last February's very successful accountability hearing with the state board. Something that is written into that state board order is that I give you all an update on how things are going at least annually. So this is one of those updates that I provide to you all annually. So let's take a look here. So first of all, as you may remember or not remember, depending on how much time you spend thinking about Colorado's accountability framework, we receive points based on student achievement, student growth, post-secondary, and workforce readiness. Each of those three categories is weighted in a different way, depending on which level of school is being measured. So kindergarten through middle school is rated with growth and achievement being the only ratings there, with growth being 60, achievement being 40. And then you can see once we zoom out and look at a high school or a district, we're gonna have post-secondary readiness in there, but growth is still gonna be the primary point totally in there. How do we score those? Well, I'm just gonna be somewhat brief here. Academic achievement is the extent to which students are on grade level in a given year. Growth is the extent to which students improve from one year to another. It's measured, academic growth is measured by something called an MGP, which is a median growth percentile. A 50 MGP is roughly at least 1 year's worth of growth. So no matter which context we're looking in, getting at least 1 year's worth of growth is really important. And then the third category I mentioned there, it's like I can't go, there we go. The third category there, post-secondary and workforce readiness, measuring things like graduation rate, dropout rate, and the extent to which students matriculate from high school to a 2-year, a 4-year military or CTE opportunity. So, knowing all of that, in February, Lahontan Intermediate had a super successful hearing with the State Board of Education. State Board was big fans of the plan that was put forth. And up there you can see the things that can get proposed in year 5. So we went with a pathway plan that was focused on some of the instructional improvements that are currently underway in Lahontan Intermediate, along with what we call partial management with an organization called TNTP. Up here, this is the full, I think really interesting, end of clock process that schools go through. The star in the top right represents where Lahontan Intermediate is at in this process, where they've had their initial hearing. The state board has directed that action, and now they're receiving some ongoing support and some continued progress monitoring. And then I included a warning star way off to the left, and that's because we don't have any schools or the district being at year 3 or 4. Currently, Tiger Trades is in year 1. I'm going to talk through that in just a moment. So let's take a look at how performance has changed over the past 2 years. This is a slide that has lots of celebrations in it. From 2023 to 2025, district has improved from their turnaround status. You can see the bottom left of my chart up to improvement status, going from 38.6% of points earned on their framework to 46.2% points earned on their framework. That is a really large jump in 2 years for a district system to make. The other improvement you can see here is that both Lahontan Intermediate and Lahontan Junior Senior have each moved up a full level since 2023. And they've gained significantly more points in their 25 framework compared to their 2023 framework, which I'll go into a little bit more detail in just a moment. So the intermediate school is in what we call year 6, no new requirements with that. The district is in what we call year 2 on watch. That's because to get fully off the accountability clock, you have to have 2 consecutive years at yellow or higher. And then Tiger Trades is in year 1, which is a slight dip in percent points earned this past year. They are less than 2% away from getting back off the clock. What's interesting to note is that since this is only year 1, if they got back to yellow or green next year, they'd be fully off. Don't need 2 consecutive if you've only been on the clock for 1 year. Before I go deeper into the data, I was spun pretty fast through some of those accountability structures. Any questions so far from board members before I talk a little bit more about the data? All right, let's keep going, see what else we come up with. So let's talk more about some of the progress of Lahontan Intermediate. Since 2023, we've seen a more than 10 percentage point increase in the total percent points earned at Lahontan Intermediate. That is also a really great jump when you consider that the previous 3 frameworks were all at 25%. 25% of points on a framework is essentially 0. It's the lowest points you can earn, even though it says 25 is the lowest percentage points. So we've been able to get 10% increase over the last 2 years. That's a great improvement. What's been driving it? We've had 2 consecutive years of sustained growth improvement, and we've had 2 consecutive years of improved achievement. For ELA, it's been a steady step up, 3-year trend moving consistently up. And this data looks very similar for students who are on free and reduced lunch status, as well as minority students. When there are multilingual students with IEPs are a little bit lower in that area. Similarly, but a little different, is in math, we have that steady step up, and we see a slight decrease last year. Something I will shout out the Lahontan Intermediate team for doing last year is they recognized in the spring of 2023 that there were some gaps in the way that students were receiving math tasks with the curriculum at the time. They made some really meaningful pivots last year to use Zern, which is a free CDE platform, to make sure students got that rigorous math content. They use that as a bridge year to get to their new curriculum this year. The fact that they were able to keep achievement as high as it is right here, even with some curriculum transition, is a testament to their efforts. And I think we're all really excited to see what the next 2 years of math achievement can look like. I say two because they've chosen a really worthy curriculum. It is also hard to implement. So I would say like, give it time to take hold for folks to learn it. It'll be exciting to see what it looks like 2 to 3 years from now. But for growth, this is also really exciting. We've seen double-digit increases, not over a 3-year period, but over 1 year. You can see the ELA growth here almost gets up to that 50 MGP, that 1 year's worth of growth. These are really positive trends. Then for math growth, very similar to math achievement, we see it creeping up there. There's a slight decrease from last year, and then it'll be great to see what this looks like as they continue to implement that new curriculum moving forward. So as part of this work, I'll be visiting with Lawton Intermediate quarterly throughout this year and all other years where they continue to be on the clock. I'll work alongside TNTP and UPA as well as district leadership to make sure things feel like they're coherent and focused. And then I'll continue to provide support with the Easy Grant every year to make sure we're applying for the funds that we need to sustain the partnership with TNTP and any other work that needs to occur. And then we've got our other 2 partners that are going to be working on those instructional improvements throughout this year, with TNTP providing a lot of that on the ground implementation support and UVA providing the overarching district improvement infrastructure support. And then you can see Lawton Intermediate's focus areas up there, and then I'll just name that this is the final year in the work with UVA. So those Easy Grant funds will wrap up this year, and that partnership program will wrap up. And then the work with TNTP can be sustained for as long as Lawton Intermediate is on the clock. So this year, Patrick and I will reapply for the Accountability Pathways funds that sustain that partnership. And we'll make sure that we are funding what is otherwise the unfunded mandate as best we can to make sure that that partnership continues. And then the only other thing I want to add around the Easy Grant funds, which it sounds like you all are aware of, is we do have the existing Easy Grant funds for foreign governance training, which will be getting started, I think, soon with Dr. Dan Jordanson. And then the district strategic planning funds, which it sounds like we've got some things noodling there and in progress. So I'll pause there and ask, what questions do you all have overall? How can I help answer those questions?
On the UPA, so that's through the school year, right?
Yeah, it's to the end of this.
To this school.
Yeah, so those funds will need to be drawn down fully from the state grant by about September of this time next year.
Are you waiting for the board training for the new board, or are we doing the 2?
We're gonna be when the new board is on.
Okay.
And I think that makes sense. And I think it'll be great. Dr. Dan Jordanson does some good work. And most of our boards that have gone through that have really enjoyed that work. Great. Well, if you all or anyone else in the Lawton community needs to get a hold of me, here's my information right here. It's also available on the state website. So looking forward to being in Lawton at least 4 times a year. And I always like coming down here. And I'll try to avoid the transients on my way back north.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Finished business?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we have couple final second and final readings for some policies. The first policy is policy AC, non-discrimination and equal opportunity. It's revised due to personnel change. The policy KLG, relations with state and federal agencies, revised due to minor technical and stylistic updates and changes to the directory information. And then policy JRA and JRC, student records and release of information on students, revised due to minor technical and stylistic changes.
Make a motion to approve policy AC, policy KLG, policy JRA/JRC.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve revised policies AC, KLG, JRA/JRC on final reading. Questions or comments? Roll call.
Mrs. A. Allen.
Aye.
Mrs. S. Allen.
Aye.
Mr. Colovitz.
Aye.
Mrs. Latham.
Aye. Item B.
So we are going to hold off on the purchase of the Cadova RTV until we better have a better understanding of our fiscal realities. So I know we tabled it, but right now we're going to pull that off.
You want to make motion to table?
I'll make a motion to table the approval purchase of the RTV,
More, please, that we're gonna revisit it. And say table
until our finances are in order.
So we'll put it down when we're ready to buy it.
Yeah, second. And we have a motion and a second to purchase of the, how do you say it? Kubota? The RTV.
Yes.
In the amount of 26,800. And indefinitely.
Yes.
Roll call.
Mrs. A. Allen.
Aye.
Mrs. S. Allen.
Aye.
Mrs. Mr. Colovitz.
Aye.
Mrs. Latham.
Aye. Item. New business. Item A.
Yeah, so we're asking that the board approves the NWEA renewal in the amount of $25,600 as presented. This is our software that we use to look at our data, to be able to give progress monitoring tests and exams to our students. It's something we've been using for a long time, but it's definitely deployed already in the classrooms. This is a renewal. We've had it for several years.
So moved. Second.
Motion is second to approve NWEA renewal in the amount of 25,600 as presented. Questions or comments? Roll call.
Mrs. A. Allen.
Aye.
Mrs. S. Allen.
Aye.
Mr. Colovitz.
Aye.
Mrs. Latham.
Aye. Board comments. I didn't see the thing.
Tiger Theater, do we have any comments from you? We've been so very eagerly to hear them. Thank you for your patience.
Yes.
Through our very informative meeting.
They learned a lot. Finances. Everybody loves finances.
I actually did.
Oh, people say. You can stay right here. Okay.
Okay, well, I'm Rizzy Otero. I'm from the Lahana Junior Senior High School and I am a senior.
My name is Michaela Martinez. I am also from Lahana Junior Senior High School and I'm also a 12th grader.
And I am Emmy Malik. I am a senior, go to the same school. We are members of the Lahana Junior Senior High School Tiger Theater, and we are here to invite you to our fall production of Beetlejuice Junior. We are a cast and crew of junior and senior high school students from across the valley, and we're kicking off our season with our fall production of Beetlejuice Junior, the musical. The musical. Our production is directed by Desiree Goheen, and the assistant is directed by Tracy Helsberger and Molly Borton, with the help of Courtney Ayala, our stagecraft class and local dance instructor, Ruby.
Beetlejuice Junior is a frightfully funny musical based on the beloved motion picture. Leah Dietz is a strange and unusual teenager, still grieving the loss of her mother and obsessed with the whole being dead thing.
Lydia, I'm sorry, Lydia needs. Lucky for Lydia, she and her father moved to a new house haunted by a recently deceased couple. And Beetlejuice, a delightful demon with a real zest for life. When Lydia calls on Beetlejuice to scare away anyone with a pulse. This double cross specter shows his true stripes unleashing a netherworld of pandemonium.
Our production dates are October 23rd and 24th at 7 p.m. and 25th at 2 p.m. Runtime of the show is approximately 1 hour and 25 minutes. Tickets are $10 and can be purchased at the door beginning at 6:30 p.m. on our show nights. We encourage you and your families to come support our performing arts program. Thank you for your time and commitment to our district.
We hope to see you there. Thank you.
Okay, board comment?
Yeah, I got a couple of things. First of all, huge congratulations to the faculty and staff. This was a great presentation, as you know. That's great job. Just want to thank Dr. Krumholz and our transportation department and the band and cheerleaders and Tiger Theater, and I'm sure I'm probably leaving somebody out for participating in the Sailors Day parade. That was great. So that was cool. Great celebration was memorial service on our 9/11 celebration. It's not a celebration, but here at the intermediate. And then the last thing, I just want to shout out Tanya Ramsey, used to be Tanya Gonzalez. She graduated from La and she's now the head softball coach at Discovery Canyon in Fort Collins. And for the last, I don't know, number of years, she always brings her team down here to play La and then both teams get together and have a meal after the game. And I just think that's a really cool thing that our departments work on and support her doing that. I think otherwise some of her kids might never know where the hunt is. So I think I just wanted to acknowledge that.
Anyone else?
I guess, I just wanted to thank all of the kids that came out for 4-H and the leaders in our district, because they do a lot of work and their parents do too. It's really hard to raise animals and then also work on the projects and then take your kids to all these places because it's dog training, cats. It's not just chickens and horses and stuff like that. So that's a lot. And then I also want to just remind people this weekend coming up is also the Tarantula Fest. And there's also gonna be a lot of our students and like the cheer team and TTA will be painting in the alleys downtown. So come by and check that out.
Stacy stole my thunder just a smidge. Yes, this weekend is Tarantula Fest. Come out and support your local everything. The parade kicks off downtown at 10 a.m. Gonna be a good time. Congratulations to our staff. FFA turnout was great. Thank you all for your hard work. Equity. That's already been covered, but I'm sorry I'm gonna have to miss all the standards. I have my last quarterly cascade doing this weekend, so. But I know, I think there's a lot of great things happening. It's exciting to see the growth and that we've jumped so much. I'm excited for the next board, for the trainings that they're gonna have and the next employees. They're gonna have a clean system to go in and not have like logins taped to this person's desk and the other login for that database and whatever. So I'm excited for everybody to get like that fresh workspace, and that way we can focus on our students. Thank you everybody for staying with us for so long. No further business, we're adjourned.